Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your August 2nd, 2026 Gospel Life Coaching session. Our verse that we are going over today is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 15. If you didn't catch the ice bath video this morning, let me go ahead and read it for us. It says, "And he said to them," Jesus is talking here, "take care and be on your guard against all covetousness. For one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." So Jesus is giving us a warning about covetousness. So let's go ahead and start with the warning itself. He says, take care. Now, this Greek word means to see with both the mind and the eyes. And so what Jesus is saying here, he says, you need to understand what's really going on. You need to understand beyond first glance, beyond the basic understanding, you and I, when it comes down to covetousness and possessions, wanting stuff, having stuff, we need to understand what's really at stake, because something else is in play here. And it's a play for our lives. It's a play even for our own souls, our very souls, when we talk about things and covetousness. Then he says, be on your guard. Not just take care, see and understand, but be on your guard. To guard in the sense of protecting something, staying awake and watching, literally being the lookout while everyone else sleeps. You need to understand what's going on. And then in all of those moments when you're not even considering the danger is accumulating or danger is preparing. And that's what's happening when we work and when we want and when we buy. There are things that are accumulating against us that threaten us. And he says you need to understand what's going on. You need to be on your guard. Someone needs to stay awake and protect your life. And then he talks about covetousness. Well, what is covetousness? Covetousness is greedy or selfish desire to have more. A greedy desire to have more, not having. Nothing wrong with having. Jesus didn't say anything about having things, whether having things is wrong. He didn't say having money is wrong. He doesn't say having possessions is wrong. But there's a point in which when we have possessions and we want more because we're not satisfied with what we have. So it's a greedy desire, a selfish desire to have more. And specifically things that don't belong to us, things that belong to others. That's what's in reference here in one of the commands that we'll look at in a second. So what is to covet then? To covet is to desire, to take pleasure in, and it's also considered a selfish desire, to delight in something. So there are good desires and there are bad desires. There are ways in which we can desire things that we have, and there are ways that we are not to desire things we have. Specifically, there are things that we are to not desire when they belong to something or someone else, or when God has not entrusted them to us, now, yet, or ever. So let's look at the command in the Old Testament. It comes from the book of Exodus, chapter 20. It's actually one of the 10 commandments, where he says in verse 17 of chapter 20, you shall not covet. You not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, his male servant, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. Now, there's several things. Basically, it boils down to not desiring what God has given to your neighbor. You desire what's yours. You enjoy what's yours. You take delight and pleasure in what's yours, and don't desire what belongs to someone else, specifically his house. So be careful watching MTV Cribs or getting on social media. I don't even know if MTV Cribs is a thing anymore. I don't even know if MTV is a thing anymore. But when you get on social media and you see what belongs to other people's, there is an inherent danger in wanting what they have. And not just wanting the equivalent of what they have, but wanting actually what they have. That's the real nature of covetousness. So don't covet his house, his wife, his employees, his servants, his possessions, his ox, his barn, his tractor, which is dangerous for me because all my neighbors have tractors and I don't have a tractor, and there's a Lamborghini tractor dealership in my town and I drive by it all the time and I really want a tractor. Instead of cutting my backfields with a small steel push mower. Man, it would be so much nicer to mow it with a Lamborghini tractor. So I have to be careful not to desire what the Lord has not given me in this season, what he hasn't entrusted with me or to me yet. Desiring things that belong to your neighbors. But here's the danger. I want to not just talk about and understand the verse. That's fairly simple, right? It's fairly simple to understand what's at stake here. It's fairly simple to understand what Jesus is saying. But let's talk about the danger of covetousness. Why is Jesus saying be on guard and be careful? Why does he say in the Old Testament not to covet your neighbor's possessions? Here are 5 reasons. I'll give you 5 for our coaching today. 5 reasons why you shouldn't covet. Number 1, coveting makes you ungrateful. When you covet what you do not have, you become ungrateful for what you do have. All right? When you covet your neighbor's house, you're ungrateful for your own. When you covet your neighbor's car, you're ungrateful for your own, or for your bicycle, or the shoes that are taking you somewhere. You're becoming ungrateful for what you have. And that lack of gratitude is first towards the Lord, and then it's going to show up in every area of your life. And everyone in your life will notice your lack of gratitude, and that will affect your decisions. It'll affect you, the way you talk, the way you treat people. Everything becomes tarnished by your lack of gratitude. That's the first danger. Number 2 is a lack of trust in God. Lack of trust in God. When you begin to covet the things that God has not entrusted to you yet, you begin to stop trusting him, his goodness, and his timing, that he will give you those things when you need them, if you need them, and he will give you those things when you desire them, when he can trust them to you or with you. So you become ungrateful. There's a lack of trust in God to meet your needs and give you your wants. Number 3, you have an inability to serve and bless others when you covet their stuff. When you're always looking at your neighbor and saying, man, I wish I had his wife, I wish I had his house, I wish I had his stuff, you therefore can't go and serve and bless your neighbor the way you need to, the way God has called you to, and the way you should, because of your covetousness for his possessions. Number 4 and 5, I believe, are the most dangerous. Number 4, you become a slave to desire. When you covet, when you spend your time wanting what everyone else has, wanting your neighbor's house, wanting your neighbor's wife, wanting your neighbor's employees, wanting your neighbor's slaves, wanting your neighbor's possessions, you become a slave to your desire for his stuff, and nothing else exists outside your mind. You can't work the way you need to work. You can't serve the way you need to serve. You can't take care of your family the way you need to take care of your family. You can't worship the way you need to worship. You can't do anything the way you need and should do it, because your desire keeps getting in the way. You become a slave to your desire. And then number 5, you become a slave to your possessions. When and if you do acquire those things, you can't let anyone or anything touch them or take them from you. You become a slave to having those very things that you were a slave to wanting for so long. That's the danger in covetousness. So Jesus says, be on your guard, stay awake, do not sleep on those things as they come for you. Life, he says, is more than your stuff. It's more than the abundance of your stuff. It's more than the abundance of other people's stuff. Specifically meaning, literally meaning, exceeding a fixed number and having leftovers. Life is so much more than having the things you need to the point where you got stuff laying around that you'll never use. And you spent all those years and wasted energy wanting them, and now they're sitting in your garage collecting dust or in a storage facility somewhere. So here's the coaching application for the day. Here's what I want you to think of. Number 1, by all means, work, build, create, build wealth, be successful. By all means, do that. Build a company, provide jobs, take care of your family, take care of others, do all those things. Those are good things, God-honoring things. Do that, please. The world needs that. But when you do that, don't then take what you acquire from that and become a slave to desires. A slave to desires, a slave to possessions. Build those things, but don't become a collector. a collector of things that are all going to corrupt and rust and burn, and you'll lose, or you'll sell, or you'll give away. Don't become a slave. Have things, don't let things have you. And number 4, so that's work, build, create, do all those things. Don't become a slave to desire. Don't become a slave to possessions. But 4, use what you acquire in your work, in your wealth building, and all of that. Use that to serve, to bless, and to give away. Yes, you can have a house. Yes, you can have a car. Yes, you can have a nice house. Yes, you can live in a gated community. Yeah, you can have a nice car. You can have the nice car. But you don't need 2 nice cars just to have nice cars. You don't need 3. Don't become a collector of things. Buy what you need, sure. Buy what you enjoy, sure. But don't buy more than you need or more than you enjoy just to have it, just to buy it. That makes no sense. Unless you want to become a slave to those things. Use your wealth, use your possessions, use your influence, use your resources to bless, to serve, and to give it away. Here's the thing about money. I love money, right? Because of what money does. Not loving money in the sense of, I got to have money. Jesus says the root of all evil is the love of money. So you have to be careful. He doesn't say the root of all evil is having money. He doesn't say the root of all evil is having possessions, but it's loving it, right? Here's the thing about money. There's 3 really good things about money, because everything requires money, right? Building a house requires money. Taking care of your kids requires money. Taking care of the poor requires money. Having money is a blessing. Having money is great because you can do a lot with money. Having money is good. Jesus doesn't say the root of all evil is having money. It's loving it. It's the love of it. Having money is great. Using money to purchase, to buy, to do whatever is better. Having money is okay. Using money is better. Giving the money away is the best. To me, it's the best feeling in the world. It's the best part of being successful is being able to give it away, being able to bless others, being able to just, and to do it hilariously, like the scriptures say, man, what a blast that was to buy that vehicle, to pay that loan, to give that home, to build that hospital or orphanage. What a blessing it was. Be on your guard. Be careful. Stay watchful, right? Protect yourself against all forms of covetousness, because your life doesn't consist in the leftover stuff that's rotting and collecting dust in your garage. Have a fantastic day, everybody. We'll see you back for Gospel Life Coaching tomorrow.